Hey, it's Bram Duffee for Public Speaking Class. I wanted to talk to everyone today about setting up your demonstration speech for class in week 6. And to make all this go, I just wanted to remind you of the announcement that I posted to have office hours available on February 14th. So I'll be expecting that if you need help with your speech or if you want to talk to me about your speech, that will be a great time that we can make voice-to-voice contact. So part of that time is really good because I'll be driving that day. And I want to ask you to just send me a text message if you want to talk, and then I'll be able to coordinate with you to be able to talk. And so some of this video is to be able to today is to help prepare you for that speech and also help you be confident to make this happen. So first of all, how it works for our class, and a lot of times, is that we're going to have a speech that we'll end up doing twice. So you're going to get full credit for the same speech twice. It's just that you do the speech presentation once, and that first draft counts as sort of a practice attempt. And you are still graded for full points, but you're allowed a second shot at it, and the expectation is that you're practicing over time to make it better. So the following week you'll be doing it again for full points again, and the goal is again to be able to show the practice, and so even when we go into the other speeches, we'll be doing the same thing. You'll be used to posting it twice, and so there'll be a lot of practice for you to do before you do the initial post, and a lot of after to help things get better once you see the reflections from your fellow students and from the graded assignment from the first time around. So the main focus for your speech has got to be on making sure that everything lines up. And I would hate for you to spend too much time focusing on doing activities that don't result in, directly what you're trying to produce here. So let's talk about putting the speech together. This week, the slide presentation that you got has to do with speech organizations. We've talked a little bit about that already, and mostly we focused on the organization of the introduction and the conclusion. And I'm going to review that again in a moment, but first I want to just talk about the the goal of your speech topic. So anytime I have a speech to put together, in my mind at the top I have, okay, what is my purpose? What is the thesis? Like, what am I trying to get the audience to have understand? And then what is the main goal of the content? And after I have that on paper, then I can make sure that I don't spend time on any tangents. I can stay focused on that, even through my brainstorming and everything else that comes into gathering stuff for the presentation. So if you're in that stage now and you're preparing a demonstration speech, I want to remind you that when we say demonstration speech, it doesn't mean that you're talking about something to demonstrate. Well, actually you are. But it doesn't mean that you are informing someone necessarily. An informative speech is considered something that would be fact or policy based. Demonstration speech is more activity focused, and in doing so it allows for you to do things sometimes in steps, or because you might be showing how to create something. When I did my first demonstration speech back in the day when I was taking this exact class, I taught I demonstrated to the class how to pack a hiking backpack. So it was an activity where I was able to do something while I talked, and in doing that, it helped me get rid of some of the excess energy. The way it works, though, is that you can imagine that if I'm packing a backpack and I'm showing different parts of it, that it's easy for me to get sucked into, putting things in the backpack and demonstrating because I'm holding. It's okay to do those things, but all the time, your focus has to be the audience. The focus has to be still on looking at your audience in quadrants, completing one thought, then moving to another thought and looking at a different quadrant, just like we've already been practicing this last week. So you're still doing that, but now you're doing that with stuff. So it's a blessing and a curse. It's a blessing because you have something to do, right? Because you're able to maybe physically do something to help with your energy. But the curse is that it could be a distraction because your focus still has to be on the audience the whole time. So not looking down and messing with stuff, right? So other examples that you might be able to use would be how to bake a cake. If you were going to show how to bake a cake, then I would say that you might use very fake ingredients, right? So you might have something that represents the different pieces that would go into it, because you can't actually the goal is to do a good job and put together a good presentation, right? So you can't actually like measure flour at the same time that you're making your audience your main projected target. So you have to be careful in how we do demonstration speeches, because this isn't a cooking show, okay? You have to really make the audience your focus. Some of the ideas that I gave in the assignment were like a guide to car maintenance. So like some things that that folks could do that would help them with their car maintenance. Playing a particular song on a musical instrument. The problem with that is that you're going to have a difficult time helping the audience see why it should matter to them, right? So it might be a kazoo then or something, because I don't think that most folks are going to be able to follow along with major instruments. I also listed basic programming. I think that there is a way to talk people through basic computer programming, but in doing so, again, you have to find a way to make yourself the focus. Demonstrate a yoga sequence. That's something else that's very body focused. So how to use your body and still make the audience, the focus. So a lot of these different things are, like I said, an activity, but an activity that has to make sure that you're not distracting from the audience. So when you're doing your demonstration speech, you're looking at a 4 to 6 minute video. I commonly have my everything done on my phone, so I can see the timer as I go and as I talk, right? And so that helps with you in producing the video. Also, the speech rubric is posted on this week for the on the week 6 board. It's also posted in the syllabus and posted in week 1. It's also the rubric that we used when we work to critique other speeches, and it's that one where you can do a check, a plus, and a minus. And I want you to know that it's that exact form that I'm going to use to evaluate this speech and all the speeches for the class. So when you're preparing the speech, it's important to read the guidelines in the assignment and then get that rubric paper, because it's those two things that are going to matter for you. And in this assignment, my focus is that I want you to be able to be comfortable speaking on a topic where you are performing the parts of the class that we've learned so far. And so some of those are how to communicate with your audience so that you're not just staring at the camera, you're not just staring at something else, you're looking at in quadrants. You are completing thought in one area before moving to the other, because this is all simulating, because we're doing it on in our homes instead of in the classroom. The other thing is that I want to suggest that you try to fully embody the speech and structure things clearly and practice. And the practice is something that will definitely stand out. If you're frustrated about trying to get it done, then that will show through as well. So we don't want those things to happen. You have to stay on screen the whole time with your body and yourself focused and directed towards the audience. And so remember, that audience is not just the camera right here, you. It's also over here, over there, right? And so I have to pull in the whole room. I've had some students who have to do their speeches in the bathroom because they have, lively homes, and it's the only place they can get it to be quiet enough. And it doesn't matter where you do, it's just important that you're able to get, just like I have for our presentation now. You can see that I've gotten my shoulders and my head in the frame. Because at minimum, that's what we want from you. Now, let's just do a talk through of the speech, okay? So after you picked your topic, let's say your topic would be how to use colors to put together an artistic masterpiece, okay? So the use of color in art. So let's say we do something like that. So what we want to do first is we want to put together our purpose statement and our thesis statement. So our purpose statement is going to be, it would be something like to demonstrate the use of color to the audience so that they would be able to choose color when creating their paintings. So something like that. So that keeps me focused on that's what we're working on. So then I might go next and take the direction of formulating the introduction. The introduction, we need an attention getter, a justification, and then we need to use that thesis statement to give people a preview of what's going on, right? So attention getter would be maybe a story about how I started out as an artist and I was not able to combine colors in a way that looked much better than a kindergartner, right? So I can have a story about that. And by the way, all this is on the fly. I'm just thinking it up. So that might be our attention getter. And then our justification might be, so the next time you pick up paint or anything of color, hearing me talk about this is going to prepare you to not make a mess just like I made. All right, so it shows the reason why the audience should listen. It's the justification part. And then we move into the preview of the main points. So I would also include in that in the thesis statement. So I would say, so today I want to talk to you about the color choices of using blue, red, and green to make a masterpiece work out for you, right? And so then I would next be able to think about how the body of my presentation might be just set up so that point 1 would be blue, point 2 would be red, point 3 would be green, right? Because these are the main topics that I'm diving into. And so in doing that, I would say, so first of all, red is a color that I might talk about the color red. And then underneath that, I give supporting information and I give examples. And I want to be able to not necessarily create an outline that has information where you end up with exact points, like under that color red, I'm going to have subpoint A and B and C, right? So if I have A, B, and C here, I want to have A, B, and C over there. Like, it doesn't have to necessarily look that way. What does have to look like that is the timing and the emphasis. So if you're going to put together a body of the speech, you want to make it so that the colors blue and red don't end up, let me reduce this, don't spend all of your time and then you don't ever get to the green, right? So you have to plan for having the amount of time to get through each and it be balanced. And if it's off balance, it's okay, but you want it to be planned that way. And then part of this also really helps us think about how an outline can have buku information on it, but the amount of time that you spend to talk through that outline might be really short versus an outline that could look totally opposite. So the amount of time that you spend talking does not necessarily line up with the amount of information that you have on that outline, right? It depends on what you're doing. And so I want to remind you that the way this starts out is that You write everything out. And then after writing everything out, we start to make this outline smaller and smaller and smaller as you practice. So that something that started out in a full sentence outline ends up later looking like just a one or a two word outline that um, help you remember what you're going to say in that point. The practice helps you be able to refer back to yourself and understand how you come across, and also see how long things take to talk about. And preventing you from being on a tangent is also, all part of that. Sometimes we just talk fast because we want to get through it. We read through stuff because we want to get through it. And that's not going to get you a grade in this class. We don't read, we look at the idea and communicate it. So that's what extemporaneous style speaking is about. So after we go through and we talk about the color red, we're going to transition to the next color, right? So it's going to be maybe green. So what you would do is have a transition statement in there, in the middle of this body, to get you from one point to the other. And so it might be something like, now that we've talked about red, next I want to talk about green. I know it sounds like something really infantile and silly to be like saying a statement that's of such clear, ridiculous transition, but what you want is you want your audience to follow you through the presentation. And so now that we've talked about green, next we'll talk about yellow. That needs to be there to get you there and link for the audience that you're moving on to the next topic. This is the next thing. Also, after you talked about maybe two parts, it's time to summarize so that you can introduce your third one. So you might say something like, now that I've been able to talk about red and green, next let's look at blue. So all these kinds of transition statements should be built into your presentation, and I would remind yourself of those. You write the word transitions, or write the actual idea out there for you. This is what helps the reader follow along. Now, after you've gotten through the body of the presentation, and remember, this is a 4 to 6 minute speech, so this could be such that, the introduction is 1 minute, the body is 3 minutes because you have 3 points, and the conclusion is a minute. That got you to the 5. See what I mean? So this is pretty much something that you can knock down by breaking it up that way. The other thing that you can do is talk about something in a process, right? So if you talk about a process of doing something, then what that means is that your body of the presentation is not going to have points 1, 2, and 3. Instead, it's going to have something that looks more like a cooking show, but done in a way so that, first we do this, and then this, and then this, right? So all of those elements that show structure are going to be things that I'm going to be looking for that help me know that you understand that the goal of how to make this work. I just want to check over the assignments to make sure there's nothing else to mention. The assignment is due before Thursday night at midnight, and I do that because I want you to have a chance to look at other people's speeches and comment on them, because for the assignment you get a lot of points that are allocated to reviewing the speeches that are done by your other students. I just wanted to double check, and it looks great. So make sure that you post your video in a way so that we have a link that comes out through either a cloud service or YouTube, so that we just have to click the link to see it immediately. And also post your outline. So we're going to look for your outline, and we're going to look for your link. And if you need anything, I look forward to your questions, and also the opportunity for office hour phone call stuff is on the 14th, February 14th. Thanks, guys.